Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the official Nerd Talk channel. My name is Tyler, aka Mind of a Nerd, joined by my co-host AJ Reacts to, as well as Kevin. We are back for another episode of Nerd Talk. We are on episode 96, and
96.
this is going to be the final Nerd Talk of 2023, which is kind of crazy to
Man,
think
it's
about.
wild, bro. That's
This
wild.
year, when people say, "Oh yeah, time flew by," no, this year flew by, bro.
It
I
did.
feel like me and Alex were just sitting here a week ago talking about Avatar: The Way of Water, and now we're here at the last. And ironically, we're talking about a movie about water this year. That's the final one again. Um, but yeah, today it's gonna be kind of a short one, but we have a couple major topics, and then of course the main topic being a spoiler talk for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. What's going on, guys? I worked today. It was terrible, but
Oof.
you
Those
know,
after Christmas retail, bro.
I watched
I worked it, man. It's crazy.
I watched one of my 2023 catch ups, Cobweb, which was honestly kind of great, actually. I feel like it's a horror movie that everyone kind of forgot about, but Luke told me that apparently it came out the same week as Barbenheimer, so I'm not surprised.
Mm.
But yeah, check that out if you have not, because that movie I thought was actually really, really great. I started watching another one. It's called Cedar Camp. I'm enjoying it. I have about an hour left, but I'm enjoying it. I'll end up watching the rest of it probably tonight or tomorrow. We'll see. But what did you guys have going on today?
Today I worked. Went in a little bit earlier than expected. My boss called me. Was like, "Can you come in?" I'm like, "Yeah." So, at work I watched Adventure Time, and I actually finished the show today. That's random. But that's something I started watching in September. And then I caught up, watched all 10 seasons by the end of December. So that was a fun little watch. And yeah, that's really all I got going on. Um, after the stream, supposed to watch a 2023 film that came out earlier this year, Totally Killer. So I'm excited for that.
Just relaxed. Did some work for college and my hope hopefully career and stuff, and just caught up on a bunch of anime I've been watching. So excited.
What anime?
Tokyo Revengers.
Tokyo Revengers. Oh, you watched season two? You started season two?
Oh no, I finished yes, season two just finished.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna get this going, starting with one that I'm gonna take pleasure in talking about. The Scream 7 director steps down. So, for those who don't know, the production, we'll call it that because it's not coming off as that. The production of Scream 7 is a absolute train wreck beyond belief. So, for those somehow living under a rock, Melissa Barrera was fired because of her beliefs with the ongoing crisis right now, and Jenna Ortega exited due to scheduling conflicts. And now that movie had no main cast or whatever. And then now it was being reported, I think on Christmas Eve, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the director is gone. Goodbye. Christopher Landon has stepped down. And to quote what he said, this is his words. He says, "I guess now is as good as any time to announce I formally exited Scream 7 weeks ago. This will disappoint some and delight others. It was a dream job that turned into a nightmare."
Hmm.
Those were his exact words. Oh, he said also that his heart did break for everyone involved. Those were his words. First of all, I told everybody that this was gonna happen. Everyone wanted to, no, he's not gonna drop out. Blah, 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 blah. I say shit for a reason. I knew he was going to drop out. And if he didn't drop out, this movie was going to be a disaster. Exactly what he described it as. It was something that he wanted to do that turned into a nightmare. His intention when coming onto this movie was, oh, the Radiohead or Radio Silence, whatever the fuck they are, whatever, those guys, they don't want to do the next one. Fine, I'm just gonna come in and finish the story. And then two of the main stars left, and he was like, I'm not gonna fucking pick. Basically, he was like, I'm not gonna pick up the pieces and try to salvage this. I'm
Yeah,
out.
he really had no reason to be there after
And
that.
I'm not gonna blame him. I don't blame him at all. He says some people
Yeah.
will be disappointed. I mean, I guess for the ones that still are remotely excited for this at this point, this is a disaster. And they don't have anybody to blame but themselves. If they had just kept their fucking mouth shut and let Melissa Barrera be, we would be off to the running with this movie. And now we're looking at a point where this is just going to be gone. They have nobody to blame but themselves. And I got nothing but respect for Christopher Landon. I'm glad he left. I was hoping that he left. He basically gave the middle finger to the studio and bounced. Good. I'm happy for him.
It makes sense that he exited at this point because, like you said, he didn't have the main cast. They're gonna basically have to rewrite this whole movie, basically. So there's no really reason for him to be here. It's like he just got like, I don't know, this whole situation is just terrible, like with the whole production of this, with Melissa and Jenna and all that. It sucks, and I like you said, I respect him for leaving. And they're gonna have to pick up the pieces of whatever is left of this franchise.
I don't want them to pick
There's
up
stuff
anything.
left.
I want them
I
to
mean,
get rid of
that's
it.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah, you're not going to. I
I mean,
doubt that
just
they're going
because
to
the
outright
director,
cancel.
just
No,
because
it's
the
not just because
director
of the
left,
direct.
don't mean that it's not gonna happen.
Listen,
Yeah,
I,
I
I've
think they're
said
gonna.
it. I've said it for weeks. I think this is their best bet. I'm telling you. This sounds really corny to people. I don't care. Your best bet for anyone that is still invested in this franchise, get the characters and the actors from the show back and finish the show and make it a series finale to that show. That is the only possible thing you can do to salvage this franchise. It doesn't sound logical, but that is the only thing you can do that can make at least some people happy. Because I promise you, if you just make a Scream 7 where it's totally different and you just randomly have Stu be the killer, I promise you, everyone will shit all over it before it even comes out. That movie
People are
will
still shitting
bomb
all
Yeah,
over
it's
because
it
of
anyway.
how people feel.
terrible idea.
And if
Yeah,
that happens, who's gonna care? Oh man, yeah, Stu was the killer to a bunch of twerps I've never met in my life in this franchise.
Um,
Go ahead, Kevin.
yeah. This is a dumb situation. They live. Not even to get into the politics of it all, but it's just like their logic behind firing her was like, okay, she said something anti-Semitic. We're not cool with that. And I'm like, I we look and I did my best to find every single sort of comment that she made on the situation. And I'm looking at this and I'm just like, where is this anti-Semitism in the room with us? Like, where is all this from? So not only Jenna Ortega was eventually going to leave because despite how ironic the timing was, you know, all the articles were saying, they're trying to stress this was always going to happen at one point or another. So I'm just like, okay, so if Jenna Ortega was always going to leave, then that's one sister out, and now you fire the actress to the other sister. Either you replace her, which again, it's going to be very distasteful because who the hell is going to want to step into that role at this point, knowing how the other person left, and on top of that, now the director is gone, who's the only person who wants to be invested in this movie. You're either rewriting it into a complete mess. There's no other way around it. Like it's just a complete botch of the situation, and
yeah.
just
At
scrap
this
it.
point,
Just cut your
scrap it. Scrap that
yeah,
script.
cut your losses. Cut your
Yeah.
losses. If you're gonna stand on your 2 feet and say that she said something anti-Semitic, which she never did, but if you're gonna stand on your 2 feet doing this, you have to accept the consequences of coming to that. And that was a potential rewrite of the entire movie. Um, the director stepping down. Jenna Ortega already left. Who the hell is your main star? I don't even know anymore. I forgot some of the other characters in that movie after the two. So it's just like, who's going to be invested in this movie anymore? So now, just be done with it. Cut your losses. You're going to stand on your business, accept the consequences. Maybe come like 10, 15 years later when this whole thing hopefully blows over, maybe you could restart this franchise again. But right now, either you accept your loss and just bring back the director and bring back the actress, or just cut your losses and just be done with the franchise for a while,
I think
and
they're
just do
done
something
with the
different.
actress and the director. My
Yeah,
my
to be
thing.
honest, I don't even
Uh-huh.
think the actress wants to come back at
Nah,
this
she's
point.
done. She's
She's
done with them.
she's
The
probably not
whole
even going to come
situation,
back.
and
So
I
it's
don't
just,
blame her. I don't blame her.
I don't blame her either.
My whole thing, I would say, scrap the original, the trilogy that they were, doing. Scrap that and make it an anthology. Make the next installment an anthology. It doesn't even really have to be Ghostface, the Ghostface we know. It could be a different iteration of Ghostface. It could be a different type of killer. It's Scream. It's called Scream, not Ghostface. So if you do
Right.
like a season of the witch type of thing with an anthology, that's what I want for this franchise. I want things to be fresh and new. These last couple installments felt a little. They're good movies, but they're kind of stale. I want something
No,
fresh.
you don't get to say that Scream 5 is stale when you have that
Okay,
mug at a 4.5,
I
bro.
really enjoy Scream 5. I love Scream 5. Do I think that it is it's similar to the first movie? Of course. It's got a lot of the same beats. I want something fresh. When we went into Scream 6, it's fresh, but I wanted fresher. I wanted different type of weapons. I wanted different, I wanted it to wow me, to shock me, and it didn't. It just didn't. So, it's not a bad film. I like the film, but I want something fresh from this franchise. If they can't give me that, you know, it's whatever.
I,
It's rather
I think
impressive how terrible this situation is, and most situations like this, you can't pinpoint where it started. It's rather hilarious that you can literally pinpoint it to them treating Melissa Barrera the way they did. It's hilarious. I don't know.
I think yeah, I do agree that AJ's strategy is probably the best option they can go moving forward. Because if you continue the story where it leaves off and try to write the two major characters off, that's gonna be a mess. If you try to do what
Mhm.
Tyler said, I don't know how that's gonna go. I haven't seen the show, but
Nobody
I think
really
just
cares about the show that
the only thing,
much.
yeah, the only thing I disagree is just the concept of not using Ghostface. I think you can do the concept of Ghostface without having to be some kind of lineage dating back to the first movie like they've done the last six movies. I think you can do fine with just Ghostface as the the person, and then that person can just be random, maybe connected to that main character's past, whatever. Just make it an anthology at this point. Kind of the same way that I think A Quiet Place should be turning out right now, turning into an anthology. If you're trying to salvage anything right now, but other than that, just don't continue the story if you're not going to bring back the main actress who did the main character very well. The only reason why these movies are even remotely interesting, at least for me.
I don't know, man. I'm tired of this. I just want them to come out and say that they're not doing this movie no more, because seeing them try to attempt and salvage this is pathetic, to be honest.
I
This,
doubt that they're gonna try to salvage this. They would have to do
oh no,
tons of
they're going to.
rewrites.
They're
The
going
They
to
have to do
damage,
tons
because
of rewrites. They would have to
the damage
replace
control
these
has to be
actors.
insane.
Yeah, they have to replace these actors. And
they're going to. You
I
know why?
doubt
Because Scream 6 was the highest grossing in the franchise. That's why.
they don't have any of their major players though.
It doesn't matter,
Exactly.
bro. Money talks. It doesn't matter. They're go I
That
promise you
money
they're
that
gonna
that
figure it
money
out.
will be going down the drain. We saw
They're
what
gonna,
happened to.
bro. It don't
We saw
matter.
what
You know how these
Paramount's not.
studios are.
Paramount
Okay.
is not going to look
We'll
at
see.
what. Look at what Disney did this year. They thought they can just do. Oh, money talks. Look, they just had their worst year in probably forever.
They're still gonna do it, bro. We're getting a freaking Lion King prequel live action next year, bro. Why is that? Because the live action one made $1 billion. Money
Okay, so
talks,
did a.
bro.
All right, we'll see where things end up.
I don't want them to, but I would not be shocked if they're like, no, we got a whole new cast, we got a whole new setting, all this shit. I wouldn't be surprised.
Just make an anthology. Make an anthology. Maybe it'll be fun.
If you guys have any thoughts on the director of Scream 7 leaving or any real thoughts on this whole scenario, please let us know down below what you think about it. Moving on to another shitstorm. Jonathan Majors has been officially fired from Marvel Studios. So
I have my opinions.
go right ahead, because I forgot all the terminology. But basically, was it last week or 2 weeks ago that this happened?
2 weeks ago.
Like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, the long-awaited trial of Jonathan Majors was held, and he was found guilty of what, Kevin?
The way the charges are separate because they had two sets of charges that were essentially the same thing but meaning different things. It was intentional assault and harassment, which is self-explanatory, and reckless assault and harassment, which I guess is just a reckless endangerment of somebody else. The reckless part, the reckless two charges is what he got hit with. He got hit with reckless endangerment for supposedly when he tried to get the phone away from when he tried to get his phone back, he hurt the woman. I guess he didn't intend to do it, and that's just she got hurt. I don't know what, but I guess they just found him guilty of that. So it wasn't any sort of like, oh yeah, he intentionally beat this woman up and said, "Fuck you, I'm gonna, you know, punch you in the head on the spot." And my opinion, I think that the firing is a bit crazy with that.
The firing was crazy about what?
All right. For me, I think that I don't know. There's a lot of things Majors should have done differently. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have broken this girl's finger. I'm not saying he should have done the things that he did, but I'm also saying that if it's not intentional, like a lot of people are assuming, because the headline was guilty of assault. They just assume it was intentional, that he's a terrible person. I think this is a mental thing, and I think that it should have been handled accordingly. I don't think that this whole firing situation should be how it resulted in, but I don't know. I guess this is how they thought it was, but I'll give Disney credit. They didn't fire him immediately after the accusations like we saw with James Gunn. So step forward, I guess. But that's just how I feel.
This is my issue with this. And I'm not really gonna touch on the whole what's gonna happen with the MCU, because that was everyone's first thought, and honestly that's ridiculous. Like, why is that your first thought? You know, I was having that conversation the same day, but that wasn't my immediate thought. Somebody brought this to my attention. I didn't think about it in the moment, and I just found it hilarious. And it's gonna sound funny, but it's the God honest truth. Ezra Miller went on a fucking GTA crime wave in fucking Hawaii, legitimately. Did every crime under the sun. Kidnapped somebody. Even if she said, "Oh, I wanted to be kidnapped." It still happened. And what? What did he get? Oh, you're going to get help. You're going to get the help that you need. Oh, you get a slap on the wrist. Oh, you get to walk the premiere of your fucking movie. What does Jonathan Majors get? He doesn't get the help that he needs immediately, and he gets sentenced. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Are you serious? What makes Ezra Miller so different? What, because he did more and got away with it? What makes it so different? What makes it so different? it makes it even better that the Flash bombed the way it did. Because it would have been even worse if that movie made the billions that they thought that movie was going to make. And he got to walk free the way he did unfairly. It makes no sense. Why is he being treated this way? Nobody can give me a logical... There is no logical answer. There's none. There's no answer. There's no logical answer, that is.
Color of his skin, my boy.
It makes no sense.
That's what I'm saying.
Now this dude's career is fucking dead. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. I read that and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And the person that brought up the fact that Ezra Miller is walking free is absolutely right. This man should be in a fucking asylum right now. Ezra Miller. They should be in a fucking asylum. Nah, what are they doing? They get to walk the red carpet of the Flash and do interviews. Restricted, but they get to do it.
Was Ezra Miller even like charged with anything, or he just
I
got
don't think
arrested?
so. Did he have a trial?
I don't think he did.
I don't think he had a trial.
I think he got arrested, probably got out in some way or some form.
He got off basically scot-free. He got off basically scot-free.
I think the Ezra Miller situation should have been handled as soon as you said he needs help, and that's it. That's it. We're done there.
No, they let him do 25 more things before they got to that result.
Insane asylum. Leave him locked in key in there. When he's safe to come back to society, he'll get back, and leave it at that. Instead, he's like Morpheus told. Instead, they're just like, all right, we're gonna get you the help you need, but first, let's go down the red carpet. Let's go have some fun.
Just go have some fun. Yeah, exactly.
The measures that Feige and Disney took against Jonathan Majors, while ridiculous, that's what should have happened to Ezra Miller. And nobody will convince me otherwise. That is exactly what should have happened. I
think as far as how the company handled the situation, as far as firing Ezra Miller, you can't. Ezra Miller, his movie was done and basically completed. Like, it was probably CGI and editing left. So it was very hard to say, Ezra Miller, you're fired, you're done. What should have happened is James Gunn...
This was before the universe was, like, not dead. So that's what I mean.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure the universe was going for a hard reset. But either way, even then, when James Gunn came in the picture, him and I think Peter, that's his name, they didn't go out and outright say, yeah, Ezra Miller is not playing the Flash anymore because of these actions. He'll get the help he needs, but he's not coming back. That's what they should have outright said. But instead, they try to tiptoe around the situation and do these different things. At least Marvel had the balls. But with Marvel, Loki season 2 was done. It was released by the time the trial even started. And he wasn't filming anything else, and nothing of his was already done. So it was easy to say, all right, you're done. You're out of here. You were charged guilty. You're out of here. But again, I think Majors was treated very unfairly by Marvel and Disney. All right, I just saw that comment. CGI wasn't done. Was it ever finished?
That green screen wasn't finished. I'll tell you that right now.
But yeah,
no, we talking about the Flash.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, for Majors, it's like, get him the help he needs. I don't like the ramifications of what happened to Majors because of what he did compared to what Ezra Miller did, and the ramifications he got are wildly different. Compared to Majors should not have even gone to trial if Ezra Miller has not even been arrested for a long
with
time.
that same logic. Yeah, with that same logic, no.
Like, if we're gonna compare the two, Majors was done very dirty. He should not have been fired. He shouldn't even gone to trial.
Yo, Ezra Miller got a video of him choking somebody on the ground, bro. Like
We don't even know what he really. What we don't even really know what Jonathan Majors did. Like we don't have footage of what happened in the car. We literally have footage of Ezra Miller choking somebody, bro.
The footage we have of Majors was him running away from the bitch. Ezra Miller got caught choking a woman. You're fine. Walk the red carpet. Majors, he was running away from a woman.
Get him.
Get him
He's
right.
fired, bro. He's fired.
Pack
It's
him
done.
up.
Work at Arby's.
I don't know, man.
Work at Arby's.
I know this. I know this isn't the route that you want to go with this conversation, but in terms of what's gonna happen with the MCU, I truthfully think, as terrible as this situation is, it's for the better, because it seemed like they had absolutely no idea what they were doing with Kang, and
I disagree with that.
no, it seemed like they were all over the place with this multiverse.
After season 2, they most definitely did of Loki.
I
think Loki's, but you could have bounced from that. You could
You
bounce
could've.
from this and went in the proper direction, which they can still do. Just recast them. That's it.
I don't trust these
it's an
people to do
easy-
anything anymore. I'm sorry.
I think the biggest issue was having Kang in Quantumania. That was the biggest issue.
Quantumania shouldn't even exist, period. I'm sorry. And I'm not even saying it because I don't like that movie. I'm saying when you look at that movie, other than them introducing Kang and introducing the multiverse, even though we've had other movies introducing the multiverse at this point, that movie has zero purpose. I promise you. And we already kind of got introduced to Kang with Loki, even though it wasn't Kang the Conqueror. We still saw him.
Yeah,
so
that was really all we needed. Loki season 1 and 2 for his introduction, and then move on.
That would have been perfect.
Even the mid credit, or was it mid credit? No, it was post credit scene with Kang, or his different iterations.
That was the mid of Quantum.
Mid credit scene. Okay, yeah. Even with that, it was kind of bizarre to me. Yeah, the post credit scene was Loki. It was kind of bizarre to me, and I didn't really know how to take it. And now, I really don't like it. I really don't like it.
That would have been actually very interesting if we did not have Quantumania and we just had Loki season 1 and we see He Who Remains, and then we go straight into Loki season 2 and we have Victor Timely, who's a totally different version of He Who Remains, because it's like, oh, so there can be good and bad versions of Kang. That's interesting. Now we just know, well, there's a kind of middle of the road one who's mostly bad. Then you got one who's really good, and then you got one who's really, really, really bad. I don't know. Do I think they're gonna do Doctor Doom? That's the safe route. I don't know. If it happens, it happens. Apparently Secret Wars is gonna be a 2-part movie now. Which doesn't really make any sense, because I thought Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars was like the part 1, part 2 thing, but I guess not. So I guess the finale of Phase 6 is going to be 3 parts now instead of 2. I don't know. Honestly, I'm fucking exhausted talking about this universe, and that is the point that they've gotten us to the point where they've gotten me to the point of where I was last year with the DCEU, where I didn't even want to even breathe this franchise anymore. That's how I feel with the MCU at this point. It is so fucking exhausting thinking about this universe, because this year was so mediocre for this damn franchise outside of Loki season 2. And it's rather embarrassing how good Loki season 2 is compared to the nonsense that we got this year, outside of maybe Guardians 3. Ant-Man was a fucking cartoon, and the Marvels might as well have been a cartoon also.
Imagine that for the 2 good products this year from Marvel, Loki Season 2 and Guardians Volume 3. They were created, James Gunn is his own person, so it's very obvious that they probably left him alone. But imagine if the Loki crew was left alone to do their job, and it was the executives that were micromanaging Marvels and Quantumania and all those other trash movies. I think that would be hilarious to find that out, because it's just like, okay, that would just prove our point that executives micromanaging these projects are a bad thing.
Yeah, they
I
need to
just,
step back.
my issue with the multiverse right now is that they've
There's no
treated it
direction.
they've treated it as a circus. That's what they've treated it as. They treated it as, oh, every multiverse movie we're gonna get, we're just gonna have as many attractions as possible. Oh, No Way Home, we're gonna get all the Spider-Man back. Oh, Multiverse of Madness, we're gonna have what the fuck is
Illuminati.
his name? Patrick Stewart as Professor X, and what if Peggy Carter? Which, I mean, that's fine. That's a multiverse thing that should be a thing. We're gonna have John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. All this stupid shit, and that's not how the multiverse should be handled. It shouldn't be handled as a circus. It should be
Yeah, I
handled at
don't.
least a little more seriously.
Yeah, as far as multiverse is concerned, I agree that it is sort of a circus, but mainly because the story takes a backseat. The cameos are okay. It's not a huge deal, but when you have a lackluster story, overarching story throughout all these movies that are not really leading to anything, that's where the problem lies. That's the biggest issue. Like if cameos, okay, Tom McGuire, cool, Andrew Garfield, John Krasinski, whatever. But if you're telling a compelling story that works throughout all these overarching movies, that's what works. That's what needs to be focused on. And I don't feel like that's the case at all.
The
I'll defend Multiverse of Madness as much as, well, AJ will. I don't think anyone will defend it as much as me and him will. But I love that. We love that movie as much as the next person. As a contained movie, it's amazing. But if you ask me, hey, are you excited for what any of that is going to lead to? I tell you no. I'm not excited to
Well, I
see.
think I think WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness pair pretty well.
Well, yeah, but
But
like,
other
if
like
you're asking
for
me,
the
like,
future,
hey, do you want to see Charlize Theron back in the MCU? No.
I
Oh,
get that.
why?
I get
Because she
that.
showed up in a terrible post-credit scene, and we haven't heard anything about her since. All we keep hearing is, oh, they're working on Doctor Strange 3. I don't want a Doctor Strange 3. I don't care about that. That's boring
the
at this point.
problem
They don't have
the
us
problem
compelled for that.
yeah. My issue with the two franchise with Marvel right now, there's no direction.
There's
They
not.
there
Mhm.
are there are projects that are treated as its own thing, but then they are given teasers for sequels that is not even guaranteed to happen. Or if they are guaranteed to happen, we don't know when they're gonna come. You guys talk about Multiverse of Madness. What the fuck happened with Elemental? Eternals.
Eternals.
I don't know. That has a two post that has an entire ending that needs to be established. There is no announcement of an Eternals
Forget the
2.
ending. The third act. The
Um,
result of the third act.
it's the same
The
thing.
result of the third act, the post credit scene, like you
Scenes.
know, yeah, scenes.
Well, Blade we
Yeah,
know is happening and it's coming out when 2025, right?
Mm.
Either way. But it's gonna come out. Like we know that's coming out. But Eternals, we don't know that's coming out. And because of what issues they had at the end of Eternals, that is gonna lead they can't just quit and say, "Oh yeah, let's go help the Avengers in Secret Wars." Oh shit, you guys need
they
help?
said
No,
they said
we
watch
have
us.
our business.
So,
We have our issues
Nah,
with the
you,
planet right now.
you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna have them show up in Secret Wars, and then after Secret Wars, they'll do Eternals Part 2 that takes place before Secret Wars, like they did with Black
that
Widow.
with that yeah, I could
Be like,
definitely
yeah,
see them
we'll
doing that.
we'll kill Black Widow, and then like
Like,
a whole phase later, we'll give her movie.
and then like the movies that are set to be specifically targeting. The problem is that they're treating some movies as its own entities, which are completely separate, which is fine, especially for TV shows, which I think that's how the TV universe should be treated as anyway. And then you have some movies and some projects that are supposed to lead to the overarching multiverse story, but because they're like half the movies don't connect to that, there's a breach issue with that, you know?
They've
Like look at the
they
last couple of movies. Marvel's kind of connects to the multiverse, but that didn't happen until the very end of the movie. There wasn't any sort of like plot
yeah, that
device where
that
you're just
whole
like,
movie
oh
does
yeah,
not
that can
connect
lead
to
towards
it.
the multi. there's not a plot device in that movie where you say, oh yeah, that can lead to the multiverse. Oh yeah,
Yeah, bro.
maybe we can think about. Then the ending happens, and you're like, wow, it's connected. Then Guardians 3, that's its own fucking entity. As great as that movie was, that's its own entity. You look at Quantum Media, that leads somewhere, but that movie wasn't any good. And on top of that, there are too many kings for us to count, for us to be emotionally invested in at a time. What's the movie following that? Black Panther, its own thing. There are too many movies that it's its own thing, and
which
any movie
to be
that
fair,
has any relation to it.
I'm okay with Black Panther being its own thing because I don't think people wanted the movie that was essentially a 2.5 hour funeral being like, hey, here's how this connects to the multiverse. Oh, by the way, rest in peace, Chadwick. But no, I don't think we need it.
I'm not saying like, oh yeah, this movie has to be connected to the multiverse. I'm saying like there's nothing that hints towards that throughout the movie. Like you look at stuff like Ant-Man. How is he connected? Like the first Ant-Man movie, how is that connected to the rest of the franchise? Well, Hank Pym has beef with Tony Stark. There are a lot of little things in there that connects to the overarching story because he has to be a part of that. But it can also be treated as its own entity. Everything else does not matter. Same thing with Guardians 1 that has little Easter eggs and little tidbits where you say this is gonna matter later, but it's also its own entity.
I don't know about little, bro. They literally had a whole montage with the Infinity Stones. That one's pretty major.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. But now it's either its own entity with no connection or entirely connections, but it can't be its own entity. That's the MCU's main issue right now with this saga.
Yeah, I watched this year. I went through phase 1 again, and people call me crazy. The way they told that story is just fucking amazing. Every movie connected one by one with the post-credit scene. After each post-credit scene, I'd be like, oh man, that's the next movie. Let's go. The Hulk connected to Iron Man. Iron Man 2 teased Thor. The post-credit scene showed the Tesseract that led into the Avengers. The post-credit scene to the Captain America was literally the trailer for the Avengers. The post-credit scene to the Avengers was Thanos version 1.1, but it was him.
Can you highlight that for a second? I don't agree with this. I don't agree with that because Gunn had connections to the overarching MCU. Like even Tyler said, his first Guardians movie had a lot to do with the overarching Infinity Saga. So I think he can very well do that. But he would need to learn the balance of this movie needs to be its own entity, but you can also add Easter eggs and plot points that are going to be important later on.
I think he did well with that with the first Guardians.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he did that with the Guardians. I'm just saying like now he has more responsibility on that, and hopefully he can succeed. But it's not like he hasn't done it before.
I feel like after phase 3, they just forgot how to tell stories, an overarching story. I feel like they did. They just were like, we're going to do whatever the fuck we want because we have no idea, no direction. And then they were like, nah, Kang is going to be the big bad in phase 5. Oh, yeah, phase 5. The first project is going to introduce him, sure. And then we're going to get Guardians 3, which has nothing to do with this. Then we're going to have the Marvels, which has nothing to do with this outside of a stupid post-credit scene that was half-assed and looks terrible. And then we're going to have a show that just doesn't matter. That's going to be a prequel to the Marvels, of which it doesn't matter. Then that's the problem too. These things don't matter. Why the fuck are we getting an Agatha show? Why? That is a waste of time. The Echo show, I can let it slide because they announced that they want to do the Marvel Spotlight thing, and they want to have, I guess the Spotlight thing is going to be for the street heroes or whatever. Fine, that's fine. In that case, I'm cool with Echo. But why the fuck are we getting an Agatha show? That show will come and go, and I promise you, we will think nothing of it. It is a waste of time. It is them misunderstanding the popularity of a character. We liked her in the show she was in. Why the hell do I need 8 episodes about a whole character when she's not going to be interesting outside of the characters that made her interesting in the first place? It doesn't make any sense. She is interesting because of Wanda and Westview. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't
I don't
make
know. I don't
sense.
know. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I
Yeah,
agree with
because
that.
I think
They can make Agatha interesting,
I think the
especially with
issue with
that villain.
you can go. Yeah, I think
I was just
that
saying,
Agatha,
Aubrey Plaza is going to be the villain in that series, and I'm actually kind of optimistic about that.
yeah, I think that it's easy to bring back that essence. It's easy to bring up Agatha because it's its own show, it's its own thing, and that's honestly what Marvel should be doing. Disney Plus should be a gateway of other heroes and other pocket universes. I call it pocket universes, but I guess it's just its own thing. Like street level heroes. It would be so much fun to see Daredevil, Blade, um, or just like all the characters of Midnight Suns. That can be its own little pocket storyline in
I've been saying this
Disney
for a
Plus.
whole year since Moon
Agatha
Knight.
can again, there's nothing wrong with Agatha having a TV show,
Their
especially if it's
issue,
good. But
their
the issue is that
issue.
the TV shows has also been used to hype up movies. Miss Marvel was used to hype up the Marvels. What else? WandaVision was used to hype up Doctor Strange. So Loki is being used to hype up Secret Wars. So when you combine that with like regular old TV shows, there's no mix in that. So Marvel Feige needs to just figure out how to get back to just taking things slow. I think the problem is that he's taking things fast. I think we should have seen this coming since they announced phases 5 and 6 because that announcement said, "Oh yeah, what is it, 2025? Come this May, we should have been getting Secret Wars, Kang Dynasty." That's the ironic part.
Back
Had
to
everything stuck to plan.
back to what Tyler was saying about Phase One. Um, I wholeheartedly agree with what you were saying about that because although these movies worked on their own and they were origin stories, they had enough subtlety in connections to get us hype for what's to come next. Um you were mentioning how they all connected. Yes, it does, but like they also had their own they were their own entity. And I just think we need to get back to that. We need to get back to that where we have that balance of telling a compelling story with also connecting, bits and pieces here, and then you have that big movie. Like, go back to that. We need that.
Yeah.
We've lost it.
There's also like no breaking point, There's no like little Avengers team up movie before Kang Dynasty,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no like Avengers leads is gonna eventually lead to Infinity War. Like imagine we get all of the movies in Phase One, but instead of the Avengers dealing with the Avengers, we go straight to Infinity War with
Yeah.
just those collection of heroes. That's dumb.
No Age of
We needed the
Ultron, no
Avengers to
Civil
happen.
War.
We needed an Age of Ultron. We needed Civil
Yes.
War. Just little overarching stories that connects eventually to Infinity War. Right now, nothing is connecting to Kang Dynasty, especially at the pace we're going. Kang Dynasty or Avengers 5, whatever it is at this point, comes out in a year and a half, maybe. What is happening there? What is happening in a year and a half, especially when only
We
one
got one
MCU
movie coming out next year.
in next year?
We got one
Or wait,
movie
no, it's
coming
not
out.
coming out 2025. 2026. Okay, two and a half years. And one of those years is being wasted with just one Deadpool 3 movie. And we don't know what that's about. What what are we gonna do in a year and a half worth of content that's gonna make us care about Avengers 5? Even
Yeah,
if Jonathan Majors was number 5, what are
we
we gonna do?
have so much content, so many shows and movies, and we're moving at a snail's pace.
Yeah, because nothing connects to anything, and anything that's treated as its own entity can easily be taken out. So that's waste of time. And anything that does connect to it is either being rushed or not being treated right. Like Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be our introduction to the multiverse. And how many universes did we visit, guys? 2.
Feel
Earth,
like I
whatever
feel like
Earth the Illuminati is in, and the evil Doctor Strange guy. That's it. Just 2.
I
The third act takes place in
I
616.
feel like my issue with them doing the shows and everything is that they have the necessity to connect it all, and I don't think you can't do all of this crap and connect it by like one thing. Like you can't connect all this stuff. You just can't. Like you mean to tell me somehow Moon Knight is connected to everything that's happening right now?
I mean, they didn't connect him to anything, so that's his own entity. That's the
But
problem.
you know that they're going to though. That's the thing. You know Moon Knight
Well,
is
they
going to
needed
show up.
season. Yeah, but they needed season 2 to make us care about it.
But
The
you see,
thing
that's what
with
I'm saying.
other,
If everything was contained in its own little pockets, like you said, it would work better. I wouldn't have to worry about how all this crap connects. I
So
wouldn't have
you
but I
to.
don't
think
want Moon Knight to team up with anyone else in the MCU?
the
I
problem is
would
that
want it to
they
be
took.
like do like something Midnight Suns. I don't. To me, I don't know how in the hell they're gonna make it work with Moon Knight teaming up with the Avengers. That
I don't need
like
that. Yeah, I don't need
I
that.
think
yeah, I don't
I
want
think
that.
what
But
it
like,
Mm,
if you tell me, oh yeah, he's gonna team up with Blade and Ghost Rider, bro, take my
yeah,
money, bro. That's what I want.
for sure. Go ahead, Kevin.
I think I think that they did have pocket stories in phases 1 to 3. Like, let's take a
Mhm.
look at Doctor Strange. He appeared in his movie. That's when we first got to introduce to him. But he also had a connection to Thor because we saw him in Thor Ragnarok. He also has his own little motivations with Tony Stark and the Avengers because he doesn't have to deal with that. But he also has a threat. He needs to team up, and he also has an Infinity Stone. Like there's little things connecting him to his end, but he's not associated with the Avengers. The problem is that with Moon Knight, he has no association with anybody. There is nothing that's going to eventually connect him to Secret Wars. Imagine if you connected him with the Midnight Suns that has Doctor Strange. Now, Moon Knight has a reason to team up with Doctor Strange and thereby the Avengers to fight in Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars, however that's going to work out. It's its own pocket universe, but there also needs to be like a reason, like its own path to
Mhm.
multiverse. Right now, either there's no connection or everything is streamlined in the same path, you know? And that's their issue, you know.
Mhm.
Like Falcon and Winter Soldier, what the hell is that gonna do? That's why everyone is shitting on the current Avengers right now. Like they're talking like, what were the leaders
What
of the
current
Avengers?
Avengers?
They're like, what were the
Who we
leaders?
got, bro?
Black Panther, I think they said, Captain America, and Ant-Man. You think those three are our leaders? Who the fuck are they? Kang is dog smacking them. Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom will do them worse.
I don't know about Kang, bro.
Fantastic,
After
Fantastic
Quantum
Four will
Mania,
carry
I don't
them.
know.
He got folded
Like,
by
well,
ants.
Ants.
and that's another problem. The reason why Quantum Mania doesn't matter is that how are we supposed to take Kang seriously if he got whooped by ants?
That's one
Ants.
reason why I'm not that happy about him being in there. Like the more I think about Kang being in that movie and like him being treated the way that he was treated in
If
that
he
movie,
was a
it just makes
variant,
me
if he wasn't Conqueror, like if he was a
yes.
different Kang,
Yes.
that's a different story.
That's the
You can
route they should have
justify that.
taken.
If it was like not the Conqueror, who is
Yo,
he?
and then he got folded by Ant-Man and the Wasp, and they didn't even hardly have their powers. Like after he got ran over by ants, they had that little fight in the room, and he got knocked into the little orb. Like
And now he doesn't have his powers for a little bit, right? I think it was.
I, he disappeared. I don't know what happened with him, but he got folded by Ant-Man and the Wasp, bro. This man supposedly took out Thor. Like what?
You know how many Avengers I killed? I don't know, man. You got jumped by ants. Who?
Right?
The
I don't
Exactly.
know, man.
Young Avengers, maybe? Maybe I could believe
Right?
that. But even that's a
Kate
stretch.
Bishop. Kate Bishop. You bragging about Kate
Because
Bishop? Okay.
finding out about who finding about who the Young Avengers are, who they might be, that might be a stretch.
I don't know, man. I didn't anticipate us talking about this for so long. But if you guys have thoughts on this or anything we talked about with the MCU, please let us know down below how you feel. It's gonna be it's looking like a pretty boring year for the MCU, but we'll see. We'll see. Moving on to more Marvel related, Marvel-ish
Marvels.
stuff. Insomniac Studios faces massive emphasis on the word massive leak. So for those who don't know, somebody hacked into Insomniac Studios, the studio behind the two incredible Spider-Man games, as well as Ratchet and Clank.
3.
Oh yeah. Um,
She's gonna forget Miles.
um, and he was basically saying, "Hey, if you guys don't give me $2 million, I'm gonna leak all this stuff that I found on the internet." Insomniac called his bluff, and I woke up at I had been up because I had went to work at like 4 a.m. that day, and I opened Twitter and I said, "Whoa, that's Wolverine gameplay on my phone." Um, and he had leaked like Wolverine early gameplay. He leaked like the entire slate of what Insomniac is doing to like 2030. He leaked like canceled game plans, concept art for the game that was canceled. And he also leaked out personal information like passports and emails and all this crazy shit that
Passports.
that you're supposed to have on
These are
file
personal
when you work
information.
at the company. Um, this is a major issue, you know. I know a lot of people, they didn't realize the seriousness of it. They were kind of just like, "Hey, Wolverine gameplay, look at it, it's cool, look at it." And a lot of people were like, "Dude, this is terrible." Like, they've been hiding the game for a reason, and that's not to say, "Oh, it looks bad." It's because it's not finished. You know
I think
why?
that worked
I
for this
don't.
gameplay.
Some of it was finished. The other ones was very early. But, you know, did I watch the gameplay? Of course I watched the gameplay. I'm fucking nosy.
Look at
But
this kid.
my main
This guy.
thought wasn't, "Oh man, like this is so cool." I was like, "Dude, that's terrible." You know, they were working on this game since they announced it in 2021. I don't know how long they've actually been working on it, but you know, Spider-Man 2 just launched. They had this crazy successful launch, and they were putting all their priorities towards this, and well, they were putting their priorities towards a Venom game too, but um you know, they were putting their heart and soul into this, and the fact that they didn't get the chance to show the first look of it, and some random twerp who lives in his mother's basement did, is terrible. You know, my heart goes out to all of them. I feel, you know, they put out a statement saying like, "Yeah, this is terrible. We're gonna do what we can." You know, I've seen some people say, "Oh, they're gonna get rid of the game. Oh, they're gonna rewrite the game." I mean, they
I mean,
can,
they might do some rewrites. Yeah,
they
I don't think they're
might,
gonna scrap
but
it.
I don't know, because I feel like nobody's even talking about it anymore. You
Yeah,
know, so I feel like the whole thing is kind of blown over, and I'm happy that it did. You know, like I said,
they
I
need to change their password. Their password was
yeah,
password.
yeah. It's a terrible situation. Again, I feel bad for everyone who works at Insomniac. You know, I
Dog.
wouldn't wish this on anybody. You know, that's like them somebody working on a movie, and they're like getting the trailer ready, and somebody just leaks the entire movie.
That's crazy.
You know, well, what are your
Awful.
guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, you
I
said it. Like,
will.
it's awful. It's an awful situation. I'm really, um, I really feel bad for the workers and the employees that put so much hard work and effort into these projects, and it wasn't revealed the way that it was intended to be revealed, and that really sucks. I know they worked really hard, and I know it's a lot of difficult aspects to the job. So and also the personal information that was just unnecessary. Like, I kind of get the gameplay and stuff because everybody wants to see it. Oh, but like the emails and the like all that, like, why? Like, you just are that evil? Like, but anyway, I feel bad for the employees the most for this.
Yeah, this is probably, people are gonna act like morals, but like this is really bad because the same thing happened with Rockstar. Some fucking dickface
Mhm.
decided to release the GTA 6 trailer an entire 12 hours early. Like, I'm sorry, we can't wait 12 hours. We waited 10 years. We can wait 12 hours. Um, and it's not what probably would have been. And let's be real, GTA 6 trailer, if it had released on time with no leaks added as intended, that shit would have probably broken views records more than it already is right now. Like, it is that insanely hyped of a game. Same thing with Insomniac. Wolverine was an exciting game to just think about. And now that
Mhm.
most people, now I haven't seen gameplay, so I'm safe from
Yeah,
that.
me either.
But like, for people like Tyler and other people who have seen this, it's like, it sucks because now you won't be surprised when they show the trailer. Sure, in their statement, they're like, oh, yeah, it's still in early development. It's going to continue to evolve as the process goes along. So maybe even gameplay that looks finished is probably going to look even better by the time we see it in action. But
Or
it's like,
maybe even different.
yeah,
Mhm.
it just sucks for them. The only thing I've seen from the lease was the whole slates with everything, like what games are
Hmm.
Yeah, I
coming
saw
out.
that too.
But other than that, I was just like, I'm not interested in seeing gameplay. I'm not
I
interested in
seen like
seeing.
screenshots from the
Uh,
gameplay, but no
I saw
no
like
video.
one shot. I saw one frame of video, and that was just Wolverine in the bar that we saw in that trailer, in that teaser. So I'm just like,
Mhm.
okay, whatever. We're gonna fight in the bar. Congratulations. What else has a Wolverine done? But like, it sucks. I don't know why people get the joy out of just ruining surprises, but this is the age of the internet. That's what's gonna
It's
happen.
true.
You know
These
how
studios are
long?
getting hacked so easily these days. Like, I don't know what's
Oh
going on with that.
yeah. You think they learned
Like,
their lesson? How many
right?
times over?
Like, they need like some
um,
cybersecurity
their
upgrades or something.
cybersecurity, yeah, they need to upgrade all that. But then again, the more you upgrade
Do the
cybersecurity,
top tier
um,
subscription.
the problem is that cybersecurity can only go as far as how they're not proactive in their attempts to protect their data.
Mhm.
They're only reactive. They can only go as far as how good the hackers can get. So, however they attack each other, it's always the
I feel like
proactive
some of these
that are
are
going to win.
inside
So,
jobs too.
Hmm.
yeah, I think I heard that the GTA 6 person was like a person within the company or like a son or
Disgruntled
something like that.
employee or something.
It was an
Yeah.
inside job.
They did that with Naughty Dog.
Um,
With Last of Us 2.
they did. I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they leaked like the. I remember they leaked Joel dying,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they
And
leaked the ending too.
think some employee's kid or I don't know, somebody that worked
I
for
You
believe
like
killed
employees kid
Joel.
more than
Fuck
anything.
you. I'm gonna leak the entire game now.
some
But again,
disgruntled employee.
these people are weird. These people are bozos, and honestly, I just hate that leaks
Yeah.
happen. You're just ruining
Well,
everyone's good time.
yeah. That's true.
Imagine when the trailer comes out. Granted, we probably won't see the trailer for like another year and a half, maybe. um,
Right.
but like,
By
you
then,
know,
hopefully we've
now
forgotten
now
the
we
footage
know
and
now
stuff.
we know a bunch of games that are already coming out. The only game that's not surprising is Spider-Man 3 because you're not going to stop making
The
Spider-Man games.
I guess
But
Venom, the
like,
Venom game,
the Venom
everybody
game
knew.
is not surprising
That was
but
surprising to
like,
me. I didn't know that was
because
happening.
they said if people liked Venom in Spider-Man 2, yeah, we're gonna get it, and people liked Venom in Spider-Man 2. So I
listen,
and
I haven't finished the
Eh.
game, but
listen,
Oh, have you gotten
um,
to?
based off
I've gotten to.
Venom's role in that game, for those who've played it, know what I mean. Based off what he does in that game, there was no way they were not gonna make a game. That's all I'm
I've
saying.
gotten I've gotten to the mission after Harry got the symbiote back,
Okay,
and like
so
Venom is
that's
none the more hated.
I'm gonna be vague then. Um, as far as everything with Venom in the second Spider-Man game, I hope they change things for the Venom game. Yeah, and that's as vague as I want to go because I don't want to spoil anything. But I I OP, that's the word that I want to say.
No, I want that. I want it to be like an
Mm,
Incredible Hulk game. I want that.
maybe sequences of that, but it's for a whole game. That's too
Yes,
easy for
I
me.
want that, bro. I
That's too
want
easy,
him
bro.
to
That's
be
like
doing what he was doing.
I need more
Just
challenging things for.
playing the little I've played as Venom. in that game, it is a bit too OP.
That's
I do
OP,
think that
bro.
you
You
need
want a whole game of you just murking
your
people like
Yup.
with one button?
Yup.
that's
Bro,
boring.
that's not
That's terrible
challenging, bro.
gameplay.
That's so boring.
That's
I'm
boring
sure
gameplay.
I'm sure they will figure out a way to make it challenging.
That's
Well, then
what they need to figure
that's
out.
what I'm saying. Like that's
Yeah,
the
they need
change
to
that I
figure out a
want.
way to make it challenge. What villains are we gonna get? Who the fuck is stopping that?
I mean, I don't know,
Oh, we'll
Carnage.
figure it out.
Maybe the
But yeah,
Avengers might finally show up.
yeah, right.
Maybe.
If you guys have any thoughts on the big Insomniac leak, let us know down below. Moving on to our main topic of the day, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom spoiler talk. This is going to be a full spoiler breakdown for this film, as if anyone gives a shit. If you have not seen Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which I assume is many of you, please exit the venue and come back when you have seen it so you can hear our spoiler-filled thoughts on this film. There's really no point in me screaming and yelling and popping a blood vessel over this movie, because after tonight I will not think about this movie ever again. Ever.
I'm gonna tell you about a 4K.
I was not excited for this movie in the slightest. The trailer looked okay, but this was the final nail in the coffin for the DCEU. The production of this film was a total fucking disaster. We had Amber Heard being a weirdo and she was getting cut out. Then we had the movie being delayed a whole year because they wanted to finish reshoots, which was for the better. I will admit that. But you know, walking into this movie, I just didn't care. And I just wanted to have a good time. And this movie couldn't even do that. I thought this movie was fucking terrible. I did. And I didn't want to say that. This was, I will go on record and say this was probably my least favorite year of DC I've ever seen while existing on this planet Earth. You know, we had Shazam, which I think is an okay, like, I like Fury of the Gods now. I think it's very enjoyable. You know, The Flash I thought was okay at best, but the third act to me was atrocious. Blue Beetle was enjoyable for what it was, and this movie was the worst of the four movies that came out. And even my enjoyment in those movies, it doesn't matter by the end of the day. This entire run of DC that they had this year will be thrown in the garbage, forgotten forever. And they've got nobody to blame but themselves. They don't. I thought this movie was terrible. I thought it was cringe. I thought it was mostly boring and a fucking mess. And it's rather fitting that this disaster of a universe goes out with a disaster of a film. And the only thing that was solidified watching this, there were two things solidified with this movie: the ending of the DCEU and a nice cozy spot in my bottom 10 for the year. Good job. Whoever wants to go before we get into it.
I never in a million years thought I'd be sitting here having the highest score for this movie out of the three of us.
Not that high anyway.
Not high, but the highest. I did not hate this movie. I don't hate the first one, but I don't love the first one. But
oh man, I meant to say that real quick. Aquaman, the first Aquaman, is my second favorite DCEU movie behind the Suicide Squad. I just meant to clarify that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tyler loves it. I can't relate. I don't. The action is awesome. But even here, like the action, just everything about this movie was mediocre to me. Very run of the mill. There are certain things that I just totally dislike. There's really nothing that I love about this movie. There are some character moments here that I did rather enjoy, but for the most part, this was just so mediocre and awful way to exit the DCEU. Um, I don't know, man. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. Like I'm kind of happy about that. Like that kind of makes this a little bit better. That we don't have to keep going on with the same, thing. Like, oh, okay, well, what's the next installment? It's done. It's over. We're getting a reset. So I'm happy about that. Um, yeah, but this movie in particular, it did not impress me like whatsoever. And I was the least excited out of everybody. I think I was the least excited in our group anyway. Um, so the movie did not impress me. And there were some moments like I said, but nah, bro, this wasn't
They
it.
were very few and far between.
It was like two. It was like two scenes that I
Yeah,
liked.
me too. I think they're the same ones.
Yeah, probably. But Kevin,
It's over. It's finally
In the
finally
words
over.
of Bruce Campbell from Multiverse of Madness, it's over.
it's over.
After how long was it? 6.5 years since.
No,
Not
10.
even 6.5. Just 6. No, let me finish. 6 years since the start of the downfall with uh
Justice League.
Josh Sweden doing Justice League. It's finally over. We're finally done. I don't have to think about this universe. I don't have to rationalize why each decision is being made. We're done. This was a disaster of a movie. When I finished this movie, I told Tyler, I was like, I'm gonna look at my letterbox, find out what score I gave to Love and Thunder, and give it the exact same score. It is equally as bad. The CGI was equally as inconsistent. It was equally as cringe and corny as fuck. It was equally as unfunny as it was. It was just terrible. It was bad. I did not like this movie. I don't want to think about this movie after this. We're done. Like we can finally look at James Gunn. James Gunn got the spotlight on him now. He's got to get to work. Make
The thing about
Superman
James Gunn,
Legacy to revive.
the standard is already low. The bar is low. So
The bar. He's a fantastic director with superhero movies. He gave us the 3 Guardians movies. He gave us the Suicide Squad.
I'm talking
And
about
yet,
for this universe.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like
Mhm.
he's a fantastic director. He knows his stuff. He's passionate about the DC universe. His expectation is just a 7 for me. Just give me a solid movie. That's it.
Yes.
But back to Aquaman. This shit was bad. I don't want to think about this movie. We're gonna talk about it. It was bad. There are CGI points where I was just like, that looks horrifying to look at. There was a moment in this movie where I laughed out loud for the very wrong reasons.
There
It
were
was
several
just-
moments.
There were several.
Um,
No.
to summarize how meaningless and bad this movie was, the end credit scene, the scenes where we have to think to ourselves, it's either going to be funny or it's going to lead somewhere. The final scene of the DCEU was a cockroach fucking sandwich, bro. We're done.
We're
I saw
done.
that scene and I'm just like, it was funny, but I'm just like, damn, that's it.
That's how we're ending.
Not
No,
even
no.
like Aquaman being hype or funny. No, it's a cockroach sandwich.
So normally when we talk about bad movies on Nerd Talk, I break down the good and the bad. I don't want to do that. I don't. This movie was a fucking piece of shit, and quite frankly, there are very few good moments, and they are very far and few between. So I'm sure talking about the garbage, we will stumble across the good things like speed bumps in the night. So the main thing I want to start off with this movie that I thought was the biggest offense was that I thought this movie was just a mess. I thought the story, the writing, the pacing was just a mess. This movie starts with we're seeing pirates getting attacked, and Aquaman comes in on the seahorse thing, which looks cool, admittedly. There's actually a Funko Pop of that, which looks fantastic. And it's the movie's getting you hyped, like, oh yeah, hyped, like, oh yeah, Aquaman's gonna take down the pirates. So I was like, okay, cool. And then it cuts away to him telling his son the story, and he's like playing with his action figures, and it keeps going back and forth from the action to that scene to that scene, and I was just like, okay. I didn't hate that, but I was just like, this is a weird way to start your movie, but all right. And then I feel like the pacing was just all over the place. I thought the first act of this movie was really boring. And I was just sitting there, and I was like about 50 or so minutes into this movie, and I texted AJ, I cannot for the life of me tell you what this movie is about. I was sitting there like, I'm watching Black Manta do these things, and I'm just like, why is he doing these things? Other than, oh, he's going after Aquaman. Why is he doing these things? I don't know. I was just sitting there like, I was numb. I was just sitting there like I had drool coming down my face or something. I felt dumb watching this movie. Let's talk about Black Manta. This is the part where I'm probably gonna fucking explode. I love Black Manta. I know other people don't. I love him. I love his look in the first Aquaman. I have the Funko Pop of him. It looks fantastic. It looks great. I think his suit looks better in this movie because it's like literally, this was from the comics, but that suit is literally ripped from the page and put onto the film. I love his look. It looks fantastic. Like literally fantastic. There's a shot in the second act where he shows up and it's like the most upgraded version of the suit. I smiled so hard. I was like, oh, that's the suit. I love it.
About to kill me a dead mermaid.
One of several bad lines in this movie.
Yes.
The writing was on the wall for Black Manta in this movie. The first movie, he got a great fantastic action sequence and a nice fight. His setup was a little corny, but fine. He has the setup. He has his motive for taking out Aquaman. Fine, whatever. And then in the post-credit scene, we see that he gets rescued by Randall Park, who's this like doctor or whatever. And he's like,
I don't know what he is.
He was someone. He had like a theory that like Aquaman, not Aquaman, Atlantis existed.
Right.
And I guess
so he's like he explores the sea and stuff like that.
I guess I don't know.
Okay.
But he gets
here like, who is
I
he?
guess rescued by him in the post credit scene, and he's like, I'm kind of gonna help you or whatever.
Right.
Which makes the beginning of this movie really confusing, but. So Black Manta, the movie starts, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going after this Atlantean tech because I want to take down Aquaman." I was like, "Cool, fine." Then he finds this trident, the Black Trident. Wow, such an innovative name. The Black Trident that when he touches it, he gets corrupted by this villain. I don't even remember the name of the villain, nor do I care. He gets corrupted by this villain, and the villain is like, oh, just go do evil things, basically.
Yeah, they give us a 2-second backstory on this villain, and I'm like, you blink and it's over.
Yes.
Like, okay, why do we care about this guy again?
Yes.
Like,
I don't understand how you made it so easy to write Black Manta. You didn't even have to write Black Manta in this movie. In terms of his motive and his actions, it was right there. You set it up. So why are you giving me this whole other villain that we don't even know who he is? I don't even know if he's in the comics or not. And if he is, whoop de fucking do. I don't care, bro. You give us this entirely new villain, and now instead of Black Manta being on a revenge quest, now he's a puppet on strings for someone we don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
It was right there.
Yeah.
How I
would have changed it is still have everything with the Black Trident. but take away
The
that
villain.
villain. Have the trident be like the ring in Lord of the Rings and start like
Mhm.
corrupting his mind, him going more insane, which kind of happened. But get rid of that guy. Like, what is he doing, bro? Like, get him out of here. Everything else would have worked a lot better for me if they would have taken him out. But here we are.
It's ridiculous. And now, because you wanted to add this other villain, we had no idea who he is. Now everyone's like, Black Manta was kind of a waste.
He was because of that.
If you had just had it be that he was just corrupted by this thing, it would have added a little unnecessariness to it, but he still would have been going after Aquaman. Like, he still goes after Aquaman, sure, but the villain being behind the
For the wrong
trident,
reasons.
it's like because they have this villain there, it adds like this unnecessary baggage to it.
Yeah, because
And
they need the blood of Atlantean world royalty to unlock him from his cage
the
or
royal
something
bloodline.
like that. That's even that is really corny. But
And because of that, they have to rush to resolve that villain thing, and that's exactly what they do at the end of this movie. But that was my biggest issue with this movie. I was just watching this. I was like, it was
Mine
so easy for you to write Black Manta in this movie, and you didn't. You just fumbled it for whatever reason. And I've seen some people say, oh, this is not a James Wan film. I'm not convinced that he made this movie the way he wanted to. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, because we know what this man is capable of. He's one of the greatest horror directors ever to step foot, on a set. And he's directed great movies outside of the horror genre. Furious 7 is a solid action movie. Action could be better, but hell, he delivered one of my favorite Fast and Furious action sequence with the planes jumping out of the cars. And the first Aquaman movie is a solid comic book movie. I don't know what happened with this, but I'm convinced that this was not all him. I'll die on that hill until told otherwise.
all I'll say about James Wan is I do want him to stick to horror because that's where he thrives.
Well, yeah, I think he said he wants
That's
to
where
go
he
back.
belongs. I love his aesthetic, his filmmaking skills in horror. Just even if there was a lot of interference, a lot of reshoots, yes, I get it, bro. Stay in horror. I love you there, bro. That's just me.
Um, let's talk about the dialogue in this movie. The dialogue in this movie has to be the most embarrassing dialogue I've ever heard in a comic book movie since Morbius. And that's really bad. But that's the level we're at here. There were several lines in this movie. I was not sitting next to Kevin for this movie. Normally I sit next to him, but our other friend sat between us, and I let the cards fall where they fell, and I was like, fuck it, whatever. There were several lines in this movie that either made me cringe, made me just like, oh my god, or they were so bad. I sat up in my seat and I looked over at Kevin, and he gave me the same look of just, what? There are so many lines in this movie that they either felt like first takes or they felt like reshoots, to the point where the actors didn't even want to do them. And they were just like, I'm gonna say whatever the fuck comes out of my mouth, and whatever comes out of my mouth is what's coming out of my mouth. There are several lines in the beginning where, like AJ said it, when Black Manta shoots Mera and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill me a mermaid." I said,
No, I'm gonna kill me a dead mermaid.
I said,
That's what he said. That's it. It doesn't make sense.
"Oh." And then, like 10 seconds later, Aquaman comes, just like, "Oh, get away from my wife!" And then he's like,
Get away.
"Oh."
He did that twice in that movie. Get
And then
away from my son.
And he's like, "Oh, Aquaman, first you what did he say? He said the
First you steal
corniest-"
your brother's throne. Now
Yeah.
you steal his woman. I forgot what was the line.
No,
after
he said
that.
he
Something-
says
He
that,
did
and then
say
he
that too.
he goes, Aquaman, shame on you. I said,
Like Home Alone.
yes. Like, bro, this is a cartoon, bro. And some people said, like, oh yeah, it's a cartoon. The first movie is a cartoon, but it's cool. This movie is just a cartoon. Like, it's so ridiculously stupid.
And it doesn't help that it was not funny. The
It's
first
not
movie was
funny.
funny.
It's not funny, and it's taken seriously. They wrote that and expected people to take it seriously. There are so many parts like that. There's a part where he's walking with Orm and he's talking to him. He's like, oh man, we're going to get on the surface and we're going to get a nice cheesy cheeseburger and we're going to get some tacos and we're going to have some beers. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? There's so many lines like that. And I'm just like, oh my God. I thought the acting in this movie was mostly atrocious, including Jason Momoa. There were some parts where I liked him, but there were many parts where I was like, that line delivery is not it, bro. I'm sorry. I thought the standouts in the acting were Patrick Wilson, because Patrick Wilson is a great actor. I like what he brought to this version of the character. Black Manta, I know his name, but Black Manta was okay.
Yeah. Abdul-Mateen.
Yeah. I thought he was okay. I was watching him act, and I'm like, they gave you nothing, bro. Like, literally nothing. That's how I felt. I didn't feel like he was bad. I feel like what he was given was really bad. Let's talk about Amber Heard. I might get in some hot water with this one. I actually liked Amber Heard in this movie. Now she barely spoke, but I liked Amber Heard in this movie. I thought she was actually kind of cool. Now, granted, I might have some bias because I like her in the first Aquaman movie a lot as Mera. So, but I liked her in this movie. I thought what she did was cool, and when she was there, I was enjoying it. I seen people say, "Oh, she's terrible," but I thought she was all right.
I didn't find her to be terrible. I thought that she was utilized pretty well. Honestly, there were times where they were sitting there and they're on the throne, and she's kind of interacting with the council or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's what she should be doing, And it's not corny. It's making sense. And and there's the time where Black Manta gets the kid and burns down his dad Arthur's house, Arthur's dad's house or whatever, and Mira is kind of devastated. She's like screaming out. I thought the performance was decent with those scenes.
I did too.
So
the effects in this movie I thought ranged from okay to wonky. I didn't. Now, to be fair, I don't think it looked as bad as the Flash. I don't think anything will look as bad as the Flash. But James Wan purposely delayed this movie a year to finish the CGI, and I think that was for the better, because I think the movie looked pretty good. There were some shots where
Kevin's face, bro.
I didn't think the CGI was that bad. I've seen worse. This year alone, I've seen worse. But I thought it was pretty okay.
If that's your bar, then I guess go ahead.
I mean,
if that's the bar we're using for CGI, I guess we can call it.
Like I've been saying about this movie, I felt like it was very middle of the road CGI. It at some points I was like, oh, that doesn't look great, but it's not like awful. Like there was a scene in the third act where I was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely CGI, and it's one of the best fights in the entire movie, but it's completely CGI, and it looks like PS4, and I'm like, it doesn't look like PS1, but like, is that the bar that I'm that I'm setting it at right now?
I was just saying that's disrespecting the PlayStation 4 graphics, bro. You seen Spider-Man 2018, bro? That shit looks great.
It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't great.
I thought the action in this movie was very underwhelming, minus one scene. The beginning chase was fine, but that's when I started texting AJ. I was like, I'm really bored with this movie. And he was like, is the action cool? I'm like, it's fine, I guess. Like the opening chase was all right. There was a moment with Mara and Black Manta that I really enjoyed. They're in this tube and the music goes out and she was chasing them. That was pretty sweet, but
Mara's doing her.
yeah. That was fine. I thought there's a part in the second act after it's when Orm goes back into the water and he comes out all like strong and all that. I thought that was pretty nice.
That was cool.
The third act I thought was fine. There's a fight that, like AJ said, it's entirely CGI, but I did enjoy it. That was the one part of this damn movie that generated any excitement from me at all. I was like, oh wow, that was pretty sweet. All right.
It was that James Wan action,
Yeah.
shot where it pans out and it, pans around the fighters and goes up and all that. And I love those types of action sequences from James Wan. There was quite a few of those in the first movie and this is one thing that we talked about off screen. There is no one action sequence that touches the action sequences in the first movie.
None. I think
None, not one.
the opening one where she's in the house taking out the soldiers is incredible. The Italy chase in the second act in the first movie is one of the best action sequences in the DCEU ever, and the third act of that movie is amazing.
I can agree with all of
both
those.
both in the water and when he's fighting Orm is incredible. There's not a single scene. Forget action. There's not a single scene in this movie that's better than the first movie. Period.
Speaking of, sorry, continue.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to pivot. Speaking of Orn, I liked him. He was probably the only reason why this movie has a 4 right now. For me.
Out of 10.
Out of 10.
I forgot people rate things out of 5s. So,
yes.
It's the only reason this movie.
You're on Letterboxd.
Yeah, all right. The only reason this movie is a 2 out of 5. Okay.
Yes.
I really enjoyed like the relationship between the two, for Aquaman and Orm, and I think that's, like I said, that's it's cool. Obviously, things could be done better, but it's one of the bright spots in this movie. Whenever the two were together on screen and having their banter and having their action sequences together, I was like, all right, this is cool. It's fun. One of the redeeming qualities of this movie. I'll enjoy it. I'll take what I can get from this last hurrah.
I will say that overall I did like the relationship between Orm and Arthur. There were some sequences that were kind of like, this is very buddy cop, like we've seen this, don't call me brother, like that. Okay.
Like, got old very quick.
They do it throughout pretty much the entire film, and then at the end, of course, brother, like that. Like, okay, like we see that, but there was a scene towards the end where Orm is talking to Aquaman, and they've finished their mission or whatever, and he's about to part ways, and he's like being like extremely genuine, and the acting here was really good to me. Along with one other scene earlier in the movie, but he was like, "You're not as bad of a king as you think," and like that kind of like, I was like, okay, I like that, And then the other sequence, what?
No, I was gonna say he would be very disappointed if he saw that speech that Aquaman gave to the UN, because I was just like, no,
I'm Aquaman. But anyway. That scene was heartfelt and felt genuine, and I really enjoyed that moment. And then the other moment back where after the whole fallout of Arthur's dad's house getting blown up or on fire, and Nicole Kidman's character is
scene. in this whole movie.
with the with the frame rate drop. But anyway, where Nicole Kidman is talking to both of the sons, and it's like, I always wanted to see y'all together and come together as a unit, and I love both of y'all basically, and like that was heartfelt too, and I really enjoyed that scene. Those two moments were like the best two moments of the movie to me. Oh yeah, so the freeze frames. Um,
Well, before I talk about that, I want to talk
oh,
about the fact that we did not get Nicole Kidman before this movie started at AMC.
we didn't get that either. I didn't get that either. What? They
They
taking it out?
said
They phasing it out?
they
AMC
said
has said Nicole. They said this movie is not worth Nicole Kidman
yes.
being on
That's
screen for you
exactly what
guys.
they said. They said
We
she's
They
better.
this
said
movie is so
they said
bad. We want
Nicole
you out of
Kidman's
here as soon as
already in
possible.
this movie, so
That's
you
what I
don't need
said. That
them.
was
They
yeah.
don't need her before it. That's fucked
Apparently
up.
there's a new Dolby intro, which I didn't know. Apparently they changed
Oh,
it.
I haven't gone to Dolby
I'm
in
assuming
a
it's
while.
so we can see the vibrancy of the water and hear the perfect sounds of vibrations.
They
of
were
the water.
doing that. They were doing that, like showing like the black screen and like split it in half, and you'll see black on this.
But we
And
don't see
this
water.
is real black, but no, but
That's probably that Dolby
we
intro has
did.
always been
When I
so
went to
funny
go
to me.
see
When they're just
Iron
like,
Claw, when I went to go see Iron Claw yesterday, they had it. They had, but that was in digital. So I don't know if they're phasing it out for IMAX or what.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah, freeze frames.
Freeze frames and
For
frame rate
editing
drops.
is so bad.
for some reason this movie had freeze frames. I don't know where that came from. They were awful. Very, 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 very awful. Um I think it was the first one that happened in this movie was when the fire was burning down.
Yes, yes.
They went for so many emotions that did not stick at all. Everyone comes onto this beat. Now, for those who don't know, in a very sick and twisted way, there was a running joke with this movie that, oh, people walked out of the test screenings because Black Manta killed the baby. That was a running joke. And a lot of people, for some bizarre reason, walked into this movie saying, I hope he kills the baby. I hope he kills the baby. That did not happen. But I liked the element of that he took the baby. Fine. And I also kind of liked that they were like, oh well, I'm the end of the bloodline, and then Mero was like, oh no,
Wait,
he's not.
oh
Yeah,
shit!
I
And
like
it just cuts immediately.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
okay. So now that we're at this scene, let's talk about probably my favorite scene in this movie, legitimately. So Aquaman's dad is in the house and the power goes out and he goes to like grab something and you just see Manta's helmet
The
turn
eyes,
on.
yeah, the
That
red eyes.
I got
was
That's
awesome.
I
James
got the
Wan's horror.
same
That's
I got
James
the
Wan's
same
horror,
creepy
bro.
feeling from like when that one scene introducing Riddler in the Batman,
Oh yeah,
where
yeah,
you
for
just see the
sure.
flash
Yeah.
in the
It's
TV, and
very
you're just like,
similar.
That
oh,
was all. That was the only scene in this movie, other than the throwdown at the end, where I felt like James Wan was behind the camera. That was awesome. That was the scene that I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it kind of reminded you of *Malignant*, where the husband is walking around the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So we get the best scene, the best part of the movie, followed by one of the worst parts of the movie. Everyone comes onto the beach, like Nicole Kidman, Aquaman, Mera, they all come on the beach, and he's like, "They took the baby! They took the baby!" And out of nowhere, everyone's like, "No!" And it cuts to a freeze frame that was so bad. I was just sitting there like this. There was a silence after that. Kevin was already in tears.
it fades to black.
Yeah. And then I
And
hear
I'm like,
Kevin was already dying of laughter. I hear somebody like 8 rows above me go, and I just lost it because I was like, okay, I'm not the only one that thought that was really bad.
I thought something was wrong with my screen when that happened. I was like, yo, because that happened. So that happened to me before when I was watching Oppenheimer. Like
Oh.
like the screen was like messing up and it went to black. And I'm like, okay, did they mess up this movie? Nope. That's part of the movie.
Just continue playing.
Got ready to get up.
I was like, God damn it! All right, well, I don't have to see this movie
and I said,
anymore.
oh, it's more movie. Okay, that's part of it.
I don't know who thought that was a smart idea, but no, that was really bad.
Yeah, those editors need to be. No, I wouldn't wish anybody to lose their job, but those editors need
They need to go back to editing
retraining. Yeah, they need some training or something after that. Like what?
I thought the cinematography.
They're the ones they're the one who cheated their way through the pandemic ages of college.
They went to Zoom. They took Zoom classes, bro.
Is this how you editing, guys? Fuck it.
Oh, not the Zoom
You
classes, bro.
Oh shoot. The cinematography I thought was fine. You know, you can tell they shot some of this on real locations, which I always appreciate. You know, I'll take this any day over Ant-Man, where they shot everything in a blue screen or green screen room. You know,
or the volume.
What else?
Yeah, I kind of dug the cinematography in this movie, and especially in the tropical scenes where they're like around a lot of greenery and stuff like that. I like that. But everything, pretty much all the other sequences, the cinematography was just.
There's a lot of scenes in this movie before the third act that just feel really random. Like there's this scene where they go to. It's quite literally the cantina from Star Wars, but it's underwater. And they literally have this creature that's Jabba the Hutt. And I heard Kevin literally, as soon as the thought came into my head, I hear him say Jabba the Hutt. And I was just like, why? Like, for what? For exposition? You couldn't get exposition any other way? You had to rip off Star Wars? I don't really get that. What else? I guess we could talk about the villain at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So
not much to talk about, but
yeah. So Aquaman, they get this trident, and they get the villain out. He comes out of the ice, and they make him up like he's a big bad or whatever. Aquaman throws his trident at him, or he throws the black trident at him,
and
he catches it. And I was like, "Oh, all right."
And he just stands there with the trident.
He was still half asleep. He wasn't fully awake yet. He didn't wake up yet. He didn't get his vitamins. That's why he's
still opening his eyes.
Yeah, bro. He opened his eyes when the trident came out his head. But he didn't get his vitamins. He didn't do his exercise. That ice sleep that'll do it to you, bro.
Yeah, after he grabs that, Orm picks up Arthur's trident, hands it to him, and he's still holding the dude is still holding the trident, and it goes through the trident, and he explodes. And that's it.
I don't know how Manta was fighting Aquaman with that trident when it just broke like a toothpick when Aquaman threw his at it. Like
apparently Aquaman's trident is of the most strongest material. I don't know.
Bro, did you see the way he was throwing down with Manta, bro?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Oh no, bro.
No, bro. If that's the case, that thing should have snapped in half when he was fighting Manta, bro. Give me a break. I don't know how one trident can break another trident. I don't know where that came from.
Where does anything come from?
That's like if I had a sword here and somebody threw a sword at me so hard it went through everything, and just I don't understand that. But
dude, I feel like half the plot was made up during the movie because
they were making the movie and
on the fly.
Writing it at the same time.
They were just like, all right, let's have this big bad infect Manta because we got to make him redeemable somehow. Not as if
that did not happen because he just dies.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Manta's henchmen either, which not much to talk about there either. But
again, the doctor.
the acting so bad.
Dude,
There's this
I
one
saw the actor. I forgot what his face was, but I
Randall
remember
Park,
he
Jimmy Woo from
Jimmy Wood. Yeah, I was like, oh, cool, he's in this movie. And the scene was directing like, oh yeah, they're probably gonna die. So I'm just like, oh yeah, he's a cool cameo. All right, we're hate to see you go, but you know what? You did good in like that one scene you had. And then he comes back, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so I guess he's here now. And
Yep.
then he has an importance, and he's saying like, I want to see Atlantis. I'm just like, okay, cool. I mean, you didn't do that at the end of the movies because
Didn't he
not that
have
we
like a
know.
really corny line at the end where he was like,
there are several.
absolutely. He was like, no, he was like, oh, I forget what it was, but it was like my theater actually laughed, and I looked around like, are y'all serious, bro? Like,
Um, there's this one
man.
general lady. First of all,
Mhm.
but before I talk into that, where the fuck did this submarine come from? Where did this come from? Where did his crew come from? He finds the trident, and it says 5 months later. It fades to black. It says 5 months later, and he just has a submarine with a full crew. What? Where
You got
did
bread
that
now,
come
bro.
from?
Yeah, he got friends. I don't know.
And then like the main like general lady that's on there, every time she's
I know
like
a guy who
about
knows a
to
guy.
yeah, every time she's like about to shoot something, she just grabs the levers in like the corniest way. She's like, fire! I'm like,
You know that reminds me of because I was playing
oh,
Spider Man. Because I was playing a bunch of Spider Man the last couple of days, and I was just like, it reminds me whenever you had Peter trying to pull something with both hands, and you just have to spam or just hold the thumbsticks together. In my head now, I'm just picturing that lady doing that, just being like, you just see the cutscene, fire, and then you just see like the little icon for the controllers.
I don't know, man. There's really not much left to talk about. This
Nah.
movie was very much nothing, you know.
It
The
meant
score,
nothing.
the music, the song in the mid credit scene. I love that shit. I've been playing that over and over again. I love that. Love me some ex ambassadors, but yeah, there's really not much to talk about left with this movie. I thought this movie was a piece of shit, and it's in my bottom 10 of the year. I think it's in my bottom five actually. Um,
It's the second worst
and
for me.
and
Mm.
we're done. And it broke my heart to love the first movie as much. That movie's a 5 out of 5 for me. The fact that I had to watch that movie and then immediately go and watch this and have it be as bad as it was heartbreaking. That'd be like AJ watching Birds of Prey, loving it as much as he does, and then the Suicide Squad was a piece of shit. He'd be sitting there miserable. Harley Quinn would probably still be the best part, but um, yeah, I got nothing left to add to this. Do you guys?
Nah, man. Um, like I said, very
We're
mediocre,
done.
very forgettable, and I'm not looking forward to rewatching it.
I think
I
when
know
you
I know
rewatch
I
it,
am.
That's
Like
all I'm thinking about.
I'm always rewatching stuff that like shouldn't be rewatched, but I'm not looking forward to it.
All I'm thinking about is that we're finally done. Now, James Gunn, Peter Safran, do what you gotta do. Please. Just don't fuck it up. That's all we ask. The bar for as good of a filmmaker as James Gunn is, there's a low bar for you. Just a 7. That's it. Just give me a mediocre movie. Give me a good time. That's it. Superman could be a 7 out of 10. I'll call that a success.
all right. If you guys have
we
seen, oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say we're gonna do our ranking.
Yeah, but if you guys have seen Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, let us know down below how you felt. Do you agree with us? Did you actually enjoy this movie? I know several people that somehow did. Let us know down below. And before we do our physical media update, we're going to do one final DCEU ranking. Um, I'm gonna go first, and then we'll go down. No, I'm not bringing out my physical media this time because I just don't care. Um, so starting from 16, even though I don't even count this as a real movie, Justice League. This is a abomination beyond belief. 15 is Wonder Woman 1984. This is another abomination. It's I don't even. I actually liked this movie the first time I watched it. I rewatched it with AJ and friends, and I think I broke open two Mike's Hard Lemonades. Not even one, two. You know how bad a movie has to be for me to whip out two? That's bad. Um, 14, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I just talked for an hour and a half about it. I hate it. Number 13 is The Flash. I liked some parts of this movie, but the third act was terrible to me. Number 12 is Birds of Prey. There are a lot of things I like about this movie, but some of the obnoxiousness of it kind of gets in the way, and I don't really care for how they handle some of the characters. I love Black Mask. I love the way it's shot. I love Harley Quinn. Huntress is kind of wasted, and the whole Birds of Prey element to me is whatever. Um, 11 is Black Adam. I have not watched this movie again since I saw it in the theater. I meant to one day and just didn't. I remember thinking it was very fine. I thought the third act was kind of lazy, but I enjoyed some of it. Number 10 is Suicide Squad 2016. I actually enjoyed like 80% of this movie. I think it's a really fun movie, but the third act is atrocious, and I don't know what happened with that. But I've actually been wanting to watch this movie for a while. Number 9 is Wonder Woman. I think this movie is really overhyped, but I still really like it. There's some really corny scenes in it, and I think the way they did Ares was absolutely atrocious. And if you want to see a better version of this movie, watch the 2009 animated Wonder Woman because it does everything way better. Number 8 is Fury of the Gods. I kind of hated this movie when I first saw it, but I let some time pass and I rewatched it and I actually enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun. The villains could be more memorable, but I think the aspect of family is nicely well done, and I thought it was honestly really funny. Number 7 is Blue Beetle. I saw this movie twice, and I still enjoyed it. I thought the acting was all great. The villain was very generic, but it's whatever. I thought it was a very nice mix of Iron Man and Ben 10. So, I'm ready to see more of this character, but I very much enjoyed this. Number 6 is going to be the first Shazam. I've always enjoyed this movie. I think it's such a fun time, and it's a shame I didn't watch it at Christmas because this is a Christmas movie. Um, Number 5 is Zack Snyder's Justice League. This movie is the epitome of the word epic. It is the story that we all wanted to see. The reason it's lower than 4 other movies is because it's just hard for me to go back and rewatch this whole movie. It is 4 hours, so there is that. But I still do really, really like this movie. Number 4 is Man of Steel. I love this movie. I really do. And it's always been one of my favorites. Number 3 is one that has climbed all the way closer to the top, which I can't believe. BVS, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Ultimate Edition. Emphasis on the Ultimate Edition. I love this movie. I love this movie. I do. It's gained so much love with me. It's become my favorite of Snyder's trilogy, which that was never the case a while ago, but I love it. Number 2 is Aquaman. Easily one of my favorite comic book movies ever. It's so much fun. It's so goofy and stupid and corny. I love it. I love every frame of this movie. And number 1 is The Suicide Squad, one of my probably top 5 DC movies, one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love this movie, and I just love the fact that it exists, and it remains probably my best theater experience that I've ever had with a movie. So that's my number 1, The Suicide Squad.
Nice. I'm gonna go next. And I'm gonna speed through these. I'm gonna just give you the number and the title. Um, Number 16, Wonder Woman 84. Number 15, Justice League. Number 14, Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. Number 13, Suicide Squad, 2016. 12, Aquaman. 11, Blue Beetle. 10, Black Adam. 9, Shazam: Fury of the Gods. 8, Wonder Woman. 7, The Flash. 6, Shazam. 5, Batman v Superman, uh, Ultimate Edition. Number 4, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Number 3, Man of Steel. Number 2, The Suicide Squad, and number 1, Birds of Prey.
So this list will not include Birds of Prey because despite my
Look at
plan
him.
to do
Shame on you.
despite my plan to do so, this movie has not made it on my watch list, and ever since it came out, so it just is what it is. So
It's okay.
number 15 is Justice League 2017. That movie is atrocious. Number 14 is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The only reason why it's higher is because it had more. It was a little bit more fun, I guess. But without the fun, it would be equally as bad. I was actually thinking about putting it two as like a tie for 14th, tied for last place. But Aquaman didn't deserve
That's
it.
what I would do with Wonder Woman 84. I feel the same way
13
watching that in Justice League. I'll tell you that right now.
13 is The Flash. I initially said this movie was okay, but upon further review and taking into consideration the disrespectful scene that they had in that movie, I was like, this is lower than I thought it would be. Number 12 is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Same business, just upon further evaluation. Number 11, Wonder Woman 1984. Unlike Tyler, I did not think this movie was as bad as it was.
Rewatch it and
Have
come
you
back.
rewatched that movie?
No, he
Both
hasn't.
of us.
Most
Both
of
of
these
us.
movies I have not touched since it
Yeah,
came out.
rewatch it and come back to this list, bro.
That's accurate.
Number 10 is Black Adam, purely because it was just a more enjoyable experience. Like, actually, this is where I'm going to end it. Every single movie I named so far are kind of in the same group of either just mid or bad. So we're going to leave it at that. Number 9 is Suicide Squad. It was fun, you know. I've grown to appreciate it more than when it first came out. Number 8 is Blue Beetle, another movie I've appreciated. This is one of the very few movies I rewatched the second time, but it was fun. Number 7 is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the theatrical version of this movie. So I had only seen that version. The CD Ultimate, that's what I plan to watch.
Get on that,
Number
Kev.
6.
Get on that.
This guy.
Wasn't you at
DC
the
will
watch along with us? No. Oh yeah, you had class. Dang. That would have been
number
a perfect time.
where am I? Number 6 is Man of Steel, the very first DC movie. Number 5 is Wonder Woman. It was a lot of fun, very enjoyable. Number 4 is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I will not go back to that movie for a long time because 4 hours is a lot of my time. Number 3 is Shazam. It's a lot of fun. I love that movie. Same as number 2, Aquaman, just one of my favorite DC movies. And number 1 is The Suicide Squad from James Gunn. I love that movie. Masterpiece. Nothing more to say.
Hey,
Nice.
it's good to know we have the same number 1 and 2. I'll take that. Moving on to our final topic, we are going to have a physical media update. My haul is very puny because I have not gone shopping for physical media in like 3 weeks because I'm saving up for a trip and I need money. So I got these things. I can't even tell you when I got them, but the first thing I got is Step Brothers. This was like $6 at Best Buy, and I did not have this movie. And for how much I watch it, I needed it physically. So best believe I bought it, and the first night, I watched it. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite comedies. And the other thing I bought was the Violent Night Steelbook. This was like $16. For those who don't know, I was supposed to get this on Black Friday, and they screwed me out of that. So
The Blu-ray.
The Blu-ray. So this was $16, and I was like, you know what? That's not bad for a 4K Steelbook. That's kind of recent. Why not? I'll pick this up. I haven't seen it since I watched it last year, but I remember enjoying this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought who's the villain in that movie?
Bruno.
Yeah. God,
What's
what
his
the
name?
fuck is his name?
John.
John Leguizamo.
Oh,
I thought he was really corny as the villain, but the violence was great. The action was really good. I'll say that.
action was good when it was
But yeah,
there.
I thought David Harbour was really good too as Santa, and I think we're getting a sequel. I don't know how they're gonna do that, but
We getting a universe, bro.
yeah. Whatever. But yeah, those are the only two things I got. AJ.
Yeah. So Christmas just passed, and I got a few things. I'm a little bit late to the game, but I have Titanic on
Woohoo!
4K finally. I am so excited to rewatch this on 4K. I hear that it's immaculate, and yeah, I love this movie, so I'm very happy to have this in the collection. Titanic on 4K. This is one that I've been wanting. Um, I seen the movie years ago and really enjoyed it. It is the 4K to The Fugitive. The cover design to this 4K is a little interesting. It's grown on me more. It's a little odd, but I like it. And this is the one, bro. This is the one. Yo,
Ooh,
Mandalorian season
ooh.
1 on 4K. I still have yet to get season 2,
Look
but
at him.
I am so happy to have this in my collection. I'm gonna get it, bro. Like I'm not in a huge rush, but yes, I'm so happy to have this 4K steelbook in my possession for season 1. Got the 1. I'm ready for the 2. I'm gonna get it. But yeah, so that's all I'm gonna show off this week.
Right, and that is gonna
Devin,
do it for
what
no,
you got, bro?
please.
Nothing.
Didn't you get Spider-Man 2 digital?
No,
Oh.
I
Look at
got
him
it off my friend.
digitally.
I got it off my
Oh,
friend.
I got you.
brother.
Got you.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
brother,
that's gonna
what?
do
I'm
it.
getting the game.
All right.
You get in
Enough.
the game. Wait, what?
No.
No, he's saying
I
it
thought you
like. No, he's
I'm
saying it
saying I
like,
still
oh, I
got
got
it.
the game.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
still have
Got
it.
you. Got you. Got you.
All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Nerd Talk. Thank you to everyone who was in the chat. Please leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. Turn on the bell for all notifications for future Nerd Talk live streams. Once again, this is the final Nerd Talk of
Yes.
2023.
We will see y'all in 2024. I'm pumped. Let's go.
And no question, I'm beyond belief happy with the way this year turned out. It was quick, but everything we wanted to do for this channel, I never thought it would happen, but it happened. We have goals that are not met yet, which is fine. I'll tell you this right now, I didn't think we'd be sitting here at the end of the year with a quarter of 100 subscribers. I'll tell you that right now. And the subs and the likes and the views, that's not what our channel is about, but seeing that is great. you know um Again, we did think, I didn't think we would have our own channel by the end of the year. We have it. We're making pre-recorded videos. I'd never thought I'd see that, and we're doing it. We have so much planned already up until April and the end of the year already, and it's gonna be a fun, wild ride in 2024, and I'm pumped. And from all of us, I just want to say thank you so much. It wasn't an easy ride, but we got the hang of it, and 2024 is gonna be our year,
Yo.
and I'm beyond the word excited, and I hope you guys are excited too. So, once again, thank you to everyone who has supported us this year. Please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel again, and we will see you in the new year. Everyone, have a good night.